Today I'm going to show you all how to make Pelau without any meat. Pelau is a traditional rice-based dish from Trinidad and Tobago. It's mainly comprised of caramelized sugar, meats, rice, pigeon peas, coconut milk, and vegetables. This popular one-pot dish is typically served with coleslaw and other cold salads. Today, we're going to show you all how to make it without any meat. So the first step for our vegetable Pelau is to heat our iron pot. We're using a traditional iron pot. I particularly prefer these shallow, wide and flat bottom ones because they tend to cook a lot more evenly as opposed to the regular dome shaped ones. So we just want to get this hot. Then we're going in with some oil before we add in our sugar. Now the oil is completely optional. You don't have to use the oil if you don't want to. I prefer coconut oil over vegetable oil. Alright, so once your oil is heated, then you're going in with your brown sugar to caramelize. And we want to melt and allow the sugar to caramelize. We don't want it to burn, yeah, because if it goes a little too far, it tends to get bitter in taste. So we want it to melt and it'll begin to bubble and froth up, turn in color. You'll see that in a little bit. So we just want to let this heat up and allow the sugar to melt and caramelize. Alright, so as you see, most of the sugar has melted and it's even starting to bubble up. So in order to ensure even caramelization, I like to take the spoon and evenly mix it throughout, because you know sometimes one side of your pot might heat up or might be hotter than the other side. And you see this froth here? That's what you're looking for. Remember, as I said, you don't need the oil to caramelize the sugar. It's just something that we just do here in the Caribbean. We add the oil before the sugar. Right, so you see how it's starting to increase in volume and froth up. That's what we're looking for. And I'm also using the spoon to feel for any remaining sugar granules, and I'm not. So here's where it gets different, because now would be the time you'll add in your seasoned meat, chicken, pork, beef, whatever. But what I'm going to do is, because we're not adding meat, I'm actually going to add in some water so we could dilute the sugar a little more. And it's important to add hot water, because if you add cold water, all the cold water is going to do is recrystallize the sugar or harden it in layman's terms, and then the entire pot will then have to heat back up, and the water and the sugar will have to heat up, and the sugar will then have to melt a second time. So to avoid all that, you just go in with some hot water. Be careful here. Mix it up. Going in with our Roucou. And remember, Roucou has salt in it, so you want to be mindful of that when you're seasoning. And now is your cue to add in your rice, because you want to give the rice an opportunity to absorb all that color before you add any more ingredients. So the heat will heat up the rice, open up its pores, allow it to soak in caramelized sugar, and also allow it to turn dark brown in color, giving it that classic Pelau look. And we just want to give the rice 60 seconds or so to absorb as much color as possible before we add in the peas. Now remember, it's going to continue to absorb color throughout the cooking process, but you want to give it a head start. Right, so now it's time to add our pigeon peas. You don't really need the pigeon peas to absorb any color, but you want to let the flavors give the rice the opportunity to absorb some of that pigeon peas flavor. Alright, so next I'm going to start to add in some more flavor. Going in with some onions, pimento, garlic, fine thyme. Mix that in. And it might look like a lot of onions, but onions add a lot of flavor and they get sweeter when cooked. So you're not going to get that sharp onion flavor that you typically associate with raw onions. pumpkin, carrots, and some shadow beni and chive. Right, and then we're going with our coconut milk now. Let's give this a toss. And this is a good time to mention today's sponsor. Now, this video is brought to you with Quartz. Quartz have been a tremendous partner with Foodie Nation. They are the proud sponsors of all the appliances you see us cooking on. The stove here, the microwave, the fridge, all the smaller appliances. So again, big shout out to Quartz. Alright, so I'm just gonna scrape down my sides of the bowl of my pot. And last but not least, we're just gonna top it off with some more hot water. Again, always hot water. It shortens the cooking time, because if you were to add room temperature or worse yet, even cold water, you'll have to wait for the temperature of the pot to heat up before it begins to cook. So with hot water, you eliminate that process. One more, our pepper for flavor. Of course, if you like heat, you could go ahead and paste that pepper to allow the heat to escape. And we're just gonna cover it now. So now what we wanna do, we wanna bring it to a boil before we drop it onto a simmer and allow our rice to cook, allow all our flavors to marry and come together. All right, so we are at the 10-minute mark, so let's uncover and show you all. So let's stick in. Obviously, we know the rice isn't cooked, so we just want to move it around, just feel the bottom. Nothing is stuck to the bottom. Still have a lot of liquid, good color. So now what we want to do, you just want to leave it, let it do its thing. Allow the rice to absorb all the flavors, cook through properly, continue to develop in color. All right, so it's been another 15 minutes, so let's check it here. Sticking, I don't want to bury that bad boy, keep him up. Look at that color, wow. That's what we're looking for. Now, of course, some people, might like their Pelau a little darker. I don't know, some people like it lighter, but to me, this color is almost perfect. So let's check our rice. Oh yeah, this rice is fully cooked. The doneness of the rice, the moisture level in your Pelau really comes down to preference. Some people like their rice a little grainy. Some people like it a little more friendlier. It's really, and that is really up to you. If you want it a little more friendlier than this, you could just let this continue to steam off. If you want it a little drier, again, you just leave it uncovered and let it continue to dry out. But this is pretty much done first, because if I show you the bottom, you see there's no moisture at the bottom at all. So pretty much good to go here. All right, so we're gonna plate up. Right, y'all, so this brings us to the end. So here you have it finally. For those of you who don't eat meat, you don't eat poultry, now you can make Pelau without that, You still get that classic caramelized color, a deep, rich brown color. And here we added some freshly made coleslaw. This is just some cabbage, carrots, salt, black pepper, some mayonnaise, and one or two other things, because this is a classic side typically served with Pelau. And last but not least, again, we have to thank the sponsors for our video, Quartz. Thank you all so much for continuing to be a partner with Foodie Nation. All of the appliances here are sponsored by them. We'll be sure to attach the links in the description to each one, because you all constantly ask us. So once again, thank you all so much. Be sure to like, subscribe. Thank you.